Freedom All is a call for collective action. Mumia Abu Jamal is an award-winning black journalist who has written over a dozen books. He is known for his work reporting on black liberation movements that directly combated U.S. propaganda that portrays black revolutionaries as terrorists. As a result, he was targeted, framed, and imprisoned in 1981. Mumia Abu Jamal has been held hostage by the U.S. prison system for 45 years. He is still alive, still reporting, and still fighting to be released.
Shukri Abu Bakr,
a Palestinian from Texas who co-founded the Holy Land Foundation, the largest charity organization in the U.S. to support the people of Gaza, was criminalized for this work and imprisoned with fellow co-founders in 2009. He is also still alive and still fighting to be released. These are only two of hundreds of revolutionaries, organizers, and activists of diverse backgrounds who are held captive in U.S. prisons today because they built and supported movements to change the material conditions of exploited and oppressed communities. People who love and fight for collective liberation will always be enemies of the capitalist state, and should they be held captive, they are political prisoners. Not everyone in captivity is a political prisoner, but every arrest is political under an economy that preys on the needs of the people instead of providing for the people. All dehumanizing facilities that the rich ruling class creates are political too, from prisons, jails, immigration detention centers, and youth jails to mandatory mental health facilities and punitive treatment and probation programs and beyond. The U.S. government and rich ruling class regularly deny that this country has political prisoners because they depend on prisons to make us believe that people are the problem, not the exploitative and oppressive capitalist economic system that we are all forced to live under. Prisons do not exist for our collective safety. They exist for political, social, and material control over working and oppressed peoples. We have to ask ourselves how much unnecessary suffering and premature death would wither away if everyone had unfettered access to healthy housing, meaningful connection with people and the land, nourishing food, liberating education, and everything else needed to live life under safe and dignified conditions. Freedom All is a call to action for the working class to address issues of unnecessary suffering and premature death at the root point of need. Yes, it means abolishing these dehumanizing facilities altogether, but that can only happen through the power of a united working class transforming our society completely to change our material conditions away from the collective exploitation towards collective liberation. Fighting for a world without prisons or any kind of dehumanizing facility rooted in punishment does not mean a lack of accountability and consequences, nor should any violence that working class people experience at the hands of other working class people should never be denied or minimized. However, relying on prisons and punishment only continues to maintain cycles of violence, not stop them. Freedom All is not a reckless call for chaos. It is a call for the working class to roll up our sleeves with the people around us and see how we can collectively organize to change our conditions to prevent unnecessary suffering and premature death before they take place. The predatory capitalist injustice system is only concerned with after-the-fact reactive measures that increase their social, political, and material control on our lives without actually stopping cycles of violence. This is why billions of dollars are invested in reactive measures like prisons, policing practices, and surveillance practices instead of proactive measures like ensuring our public schools and public libraries and public transportation are fully funded and maintained. Capitalism allows the rich ruling class to withhold and privatize resources that should belong to all of us, and then turns around and criminalize working people for the conditions of scarcity they have created. Because of criminalization and privatization, we have normalized that someone who can't afford their rent, even when working more than one job, should be evicted onto the streets by police. We have accepted our local elite, including puppet politicians, investing more in youth prisons called juvenile justice centers, then they invest in schools, teachers' salaries, and after-school programs. We will never find safety under a capitalist economy where the bottom line will always be profit over life. To free them all, we must start taking on these battles against the rich and their misleader minions. We must challenge all justifications that normalize denying people anything that is needed to live and be well on this planet, whether it is denial because of a lack of payment or denial because of punishment. The rich ruling class and their puppet politicians are responsible for a majority of the unnecessary suffering and premature debt we are experiencing in our communities. From wage theft, embezzling funds away from public institutions, privatizing access to wellness, accelerating the climate crisis, and beyond. They are the ones who profit from genocide and buy entire islands to sexually abuse and traffic children, inviting their rich friends and rich enemies alike to blackmail. The rich ruling class are the ones who create slave-like working conditions globally and deny our human rights both locally and globally for the sake of profit. If prisons exist for our collective safety, shouldn't these be the first people to be locked up? While occasionally one of the wealthy elites is sacrificed to create the illusion of justice, those who create the conditions of an unsafe society are not the ones filling up the jails, prisons, detention centers, or punitive treatment programs. But they are the ones that build, fund, legislate, expand, and profit from the existence of these facilities. As long as we continue to believe that prisons by any name are for our safety and do not challenge their existence, none of us are truly safe. This is why we urge all working class communities to organize non-criminalized community defense, an organizing practice rooted in meeting needs according to needs to protect ourselves and each other without leaning on the tools of oppression that we are told is the only way. Capitalism so often acts as a prison for our minds. Freedom All is a call to action to collectively liberate ourselves from mental, spiritual, and physical captivity. What solutions we do not have individually will become clear when we practice organizing with other working class people for solutions that do not reinforce criminalization of each other. Any one of us can be criminalized at any moment if it is politically convenient for the rich ruling class and local misleaders, especially those of us who stand up to this system and teach other working class people to stand up and fight back. As our conditions become more dire, we can fully expect the ruling elite and their puppet politicians to use criminalization and privatization to distract us into fighting each other instead of coming together in principled, action-oriented solidarity to dismantle this explosive system that is oppressing all of us collectively. We have to challenge ourselves collectively to create solutions that transform our conditions, not replicate the violent tactics the rich ruling class uses against us as we collectively organize towards an economic system that is rooted in meeting needs, not monetizing needs. Freedom All is a call to action for all of us. For those in captivity, it is a call to keep the flame of hope alive, to continue to educate and organize others who are also in prisons. Let us not forget that people like Malcolm X and George Jackson did not go in as political prisoners, but became revolutionaries because of the organizing of other political prisoners inside the prison walls. It is a call to action for all of us on the outside to unleash ourselves from any and all propaganda that justifies criminalization, punishment, and denying needs as a solution to the conditions we are facing. We must get to work organizing. The work we do to free our political prisoners will guide the work we do to free ourselves materially, politically, and mentally. So whether there is a jailbreak on Tulane and Broad or criminalization of student movements against genocide, ICE, and police terror, we must fight to free them all. When families cross colonial borders to survive, when an unavoidable accident where no harm was meant happens, when people refuse to abandon their homes, even if they can't pay rent, we must free them all. And yes, even when there are those who have caused unnecessary suffering and premature death, we must free them all from dehumanizing punishment and find solutions that transform cycles, not repeat them. As Mumia Abu Jamal put, on his prison radio piece, Spaces for Dislocation, on June 1st, 2026, to capitalists, the most important thing on the planet is capital, not people, because capital makes them richer, and that is their only interest. That's the world we are looking at. But it can be changed if people organize, get together, and fight, not against each other, but fight together against the powers that be. If Mumia, who has been captive for over 4 decades as a political prisoner, has hope for a world where life triumphs over profit, who are we on the outside to not have hope? If political prisoners continue to organize from behind a prison wall, who are we to not put our hands to this necessary work? The small steps we take right now with others to build a world that we have not yet seen but know is absolutely possible is the work that will free us all. Ashe.